Inglés no te lo compro. Y yo a vos menos si no rapeáis bien. Ni en el idioma de nosotros. Who are you? Yo el loco como...
Yo, what's good, everybody? What's good, everybody? I'm here a little bit late, but I'm here with a very, very special guest. I'm here with Cyrus, Satsas from Lockdown Warriors. I'm happy to have you here with us, man. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm happy to be with you, man. And are we live?
Yeah, we live.
Okay, then I want to apologize to your audience. It's my fault we're late. I'm sorry. And thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Don't worry. It's because the hour difference. I'm here in like Easter time, and Cyrus is obviously on the West Coast, but it's not a big deal. I'm happy to have you here, man. So let's dive right into it. And once again, thanks for being here with us. Obviously, I got a lot of followers, Golden State Warrior followers on my channel, so they will be happy to have your insight on the question that I got for you today. I don't want to take advantage of your time, so let's dive right into it. We've seen that Klay, obviously, he has fought through two major injuries, the ACL and the Achilles. And now he's dealing with the contract extension. What would be the best case and worst case scenario for you about this Klay Thompson situation?
Well, best case scenario is we see Klay Thompson, and I say best case on behalf of Dub Nation Warriors fans. Otherwise, I mean, it depends on your perspective, right? But for the purpose of the Warriors' success, I think best case is obviously getting, the old Klay, is getting a version of him that in 2022 won a title from 2014 and 19, made 5 straight All-Star appearances, 3 championships during that run. I mean, clearly that would be best case scenario. Worst case scenario is what we might be seeing. Well, it's not what we're seeing right now. If this continues, this is definitely a topic of discussion when it comes to the Warriors that I think a lot of people are treading slowly on. Because we don't know for certain if Klay's on the decline. Maybe this is just it's preseason, hard to judge people based on that. But given his age, given his injury history, given the fact that this regression started as of March, because he had one of the best years of his career in February. But since then, it's just been a decline. And what we saw in the playoffs was incredibly concerning. That was a horrible performance. And considering that he spent all offseason conditioning, I think expectations were a little high. That coupled with the fact he's entering a contract year, which usually motivates people. And usually, not always, though. Like some people, actually, a contract year can be a detriment. But that maybe that's part of what's going on right now. But yeah, Klay Thompson has not looked good in the preseason. And, I don't know how many games in the regular season this would have to go before, Steve Kerr starts feeling it from the media and from other people. On Locked On Warriors, I said, probably 10 regular season games would be the barometer before you kind of have to start making some difficult decisions. But Steve Kerr seems very steadfast on starting him, which is again, I don't know if you can support that. If Klay continues playing like this, you have some players on the bench who might deserve that starting role and the minutes. It's concerning, man. And again, best case scenario, this is just a blip, and Klay reverts to his old form, and he gets motivated by that contract year, and he plays up to earning a deal that he wants. Worst case scenario, I mean, my God, it's just a regression that continues on, and Klay turns into a shell of his former self. And that's very possible. I mean, he's 34 this year. That's how old he turns. Those 2 injuries are not something to ignore. It's crazy. What do you think, man?
Yeah, man. I agree with you, and and we have to consider that Steve Kerr wants Klay to guard the power forwards from the other team, so he will have to deal with a little bit of more pressure in that regards, like playing more defense. He was known when he was on his prime being a great two-way player, guarding guards and wings, but now maybe he's gonna guard the other power forward, so it's gonna be tough for him. And I agree with you with a point that you made on your show that sometimes we as fans, or we as or maybe even as the organization, they get too attached with nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
It's like just because of what you did in the past, and we are gonna give you more time, but we will see what happens. But do you think that maybe Golden State prioritize getting Draymond his money over getting Klay his money?
I don't. I think those are just two very separate situations and circumstances. By the way, I started to go off on a side note. I honestly always thought Chile was kind of like adjacent to California in terms of time zones, but no, you're like way east. Of,
Yeah.
that explains.
Yeah, I mean, Chile is like on the west coast of South America, but the our difference is huge.
Yeah, it's huge, and I'm looking at the map right now. So I'm sorry again about being.
Don't
late.
worry.
Anyways, so I do think in regards to Dre and Klay, they're two very different circumstances. And I think the team was looking at them differently. They also play such different roles. Like Draymond, I mean, in all honesty, I think he's much more important for this Warriors team. I think as weird as this may sound, I think the Warriors can overcome Klay Thompson no longer being himself and still win a championship. I don't think the Warriors can overcome Draymond Green not being in there and win a championship. Draymond brings so much to the table. He's multifaceted in every regard except for offense when it comes to his shooting. But even there last year, he had some pretty good numbers. I think even his three-point, I haven't looked at his stats, but I think his three-point was in the 30% range, right? I mean, I don't know if you have that in front of you. But the point is, they're just two very different players. They bring a tremendously different value to the organization. And in terms of money, like Klay wants a lot more than what Dre got. And this is where like the divide is between Klay Thompson and the Warriors. Like back last April, Adrian Wojnarowski reported that Klay was looking for a deal somewhere near the max, which would pay him in his final year. He'd be making like close to $70 million as like a player who's turning 38. And that's, wow. There's just no chance in hell he's going to get that. But I was having a discussion. I'm very lucky to have a couple individuals who I consider my inside sources, I guess, with the Warriors. They're certainly insiders. They're in that building every day. And sometimes they feed me some great information. And I'm just very fortunate to have these folks. And for anybody who's ever aspiring to get into the media world, journalism, or whatever it is, network, right? Like the more people you know, the better it is for you long term. So one of my sources on the inside was telling me, because we're having a discussion, and what I told this person is that, I asked them, I'm like, what in your opinion, take away what you just talked about, the nostalgia, take away everything Klay's done in the past, and just based on what he is as a player now, what would you pay him, right? And we both were in agreement, like because this person that asked me, like, well, how much would you offer? And I was like, realistically, Klay Thompson, to me, unless again this is just a blip, but when you factor in what we've seen for the last few months of last year and now what we're seeing so far, like I don't know if you can justify paying him more than $15 million a year. And when you think about it, $15 million is still a lot of money, right? I mean, especially for us common folk. I know, but by Klay Thompson's standard, because he's making over $40 million this year, that's a drastic drop off. But that's just the player he is to me. I don't see how you could justify spending more than that. And the Warriors have made a couple of offers to Klay Thompson. We don't know what those figures are. That's between him and the organization. But Klay turned those offers down. He wasn't. It's not like he was offended, but he just was like, "No, I'm not accepting that." And I'm wondering if that's what the offer was. I asked my source like what they think that amount was, and they replied probably what you said, around 15. That's how the Warriors see him right now. And the truth of the matter is, if Klay does have a very bad year, he might be lucky to get 15. I mean, because if Klay ends up being a player who's well past his prime, you're looking at like a modern day version of what the Miami Heat had with Ray Allen, for example, right? Someone who's a spot up shooter, who could do certain things and brings value in a lot of regards, but he's not an all-star, I mean, you were talking about all-star dollars. That's what Klay wants, but he's not an all-star anymore. At least right now, based off initial impressions. I mean, hopefully this changes, but So the point is, Klay and Dre, we're in very different positions, and I think the team looked at those two as just two totally different stories, and I don't think they relate to each other at all.
Well, that's a crazy dropout. It's like going from making 42, 41, like Klay was making a couple of years, or even last year, to go to 15. That would be maybe hard to accept for Klay, but we'll see what happens. But what would be your guess about what would end up being happening with Klay and his extension? Do you think that maybe they can get into like a medium, like a range between those numbers?
Well, first of all, so Clay's making 43 million this year.
43.
Yeah,
Wow.
43 and change. Like, so like because each year of a contract, typically, not always, but typically it gets higher and higher with each season. So he's in the final year of his deal. He's getting 43 million. I mean, the season's going to have to play out. My guess, I mean, look, I don't think Klay wants to go anywhere. I don't think the Warriors want him to go anywhere. But Klay Thompson is someone who, even though like his persona, his image is of someone who's super chill, laid back, you know, just living a bachelor life. In reality, his dog Rocco, right? Yeah. But in reality, he's a very prideful individual. Like the dude in his head, and this is dangerous for professional athletes. When you're someone who was at the top of the world and then you're aging and you're regressing, but you don't have the self-awareness to realize it. That's dangerous, man, because in your head, you're thinking, I'm owed this, when everyone else is seeing what you really are. And, you know, and Klay might have to learn the hard way, you know, like whether it's going to be an off season where he doesn't get any big offers. I don't know. But my guess is he's so valued to the organization. You know, they're going to put a trophy out of outside of Chase Center someday because of him. I'm thinking like 20 a year. I think anything beyond that is a lot of money for a player who's going to be 35 in the first year of this new deal. My guess is it would be like 20 million over 3 years. I think the goal is to have all three, Steph, Dre, and Klay, have their contracts end together, and they'll all be around like that 37, 38 year range. And then see what happens from there. So that would be my guess. Like 3 years, 60 million would be what they probably compromise on. But who knows? Maybe it'll be 3 years, 45. It is a fascinating story, no doubt about that.
That would be a reasonable number. I got the stat right here. Draymond last year shot in the regular season 30%. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, from beyond the arc. Okay.
Which we would something that he didn't do for the last couple of like 5 years. He was shooting 28, 27, 27, 29, and last year he shot 30. And he's dealing with an ankle injury, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I think that injury's been overblown quite a bit. It's not a high ankle sprain. It's the preseason. Draymond. The only negative about the whole thing is that he hasn't been spending these last 2-3 weeks building cohesiveness and chemistry with his teammates. But Draymond is such an elite basketball player. I mean, his basketball IQ is among the best, among the highest in all of the NBA. He's going to be fine. He's going to fit in seamlessly, I think. I'm not worried about him for a second. And that ankle injury, if this was the regular season, he would not be missing games. He would be fighting through it. The injury is not a big deal. And that 30% number you mentioned, which went up, right? He worked on his shot to bring that number up. And 30% is not awful. Like I always say, and I'm incredibly fortunate to call Rick Barry a friend of mine. We do a show together, and he comes on Locked On Warriors regularly as well. And Rick always preaches that 33% is the Mendoza line for 3-point shooting. You know, some people look at the average, the league average, and think, okay, you should be keeping up with that. I think the league average for 3-point shooting is 35, 36%. But the Mendoza line, with the number you really don't want to fall below, is 33. If you're 33 and above, that translates to 50% from the field for 2-point shooting. And if you're a 50% field goal shooter overall, that's great. You know, like you belong in the game. So Draymond was hovering near there, man. 30% is not a bad number. And don't forget, Draymond as a 3-point shooter is clutch. Like he misses a lot of 3-point shots like in the middle of the game. Usually that's relatively inconsequential. But in huge moments, man, 9 times out of 10, he'll hit that shot, man. Like I always think back to 2019 in the Western Conference Finals when Draymond hit that huge 3 to basically finish up the sweep over the Trailblazers. That was a series where Kevin Durant missed the whole series. People thought they were done. If you look back to that roster, man, like the Warriors swept the Trailblazers. They were underdogs in that series. They beat the Rockets as well. I mean, that was probably more impressive. But you look at the supporting cast for that team, man, like you had like Alfonso McKinney taking heavy minutes.
Jonas Jerebko.
Yeah, exactly. Like there was some that was not a deep team, man. Like that's
Quinn
a testament to their greatness, to Steph and Dre for sure, and Klay.
And then I got a question there. We've seen Curry and Chris Paul seem to have a pretty nice rhythm between both of them when they are playing. They've been working out during the summer. Like we discussed before, Draymond is dealing with an ankle injury. Steve Kerr said that Draymond probably is going to be questionable for the opener against the Suns. And you also mentioned that maybe Clay, quote unquote, has 10 games to maybe get out of this slump. What do you think about this possible lineup that I was thinking today? Well, obviously, I was listening to your show and you were mentioning Kuminga, that maybe he's ready to take a starting role with the Warriors. And the starting lineup that I was thinking about was CP, Curry, Wiggins, Kuminga, or maybe Kuminga, Wiggins, and Looney. What do you think about that lineup? And maybe are we maybe gonna see that lineup maybe playing sometime? What do you think about that lineup?
Well, so who doesn't start if Kuminga does? Who comes off the bench for you in that lineup?
That would be like at the end, like at the beginning of the season, you know, where Draymond maybe is coming back, like playing from the bench, and maybe Clay, if things go worse or don't go as well, maybe Clay also comes from the bench. But I'm not obviously, I don't know that for a fact.
I've been saying for 2 years now, and in terms of social media, I use Threads. I don't know if that's taken off in Chile or not. But my handle there is @dogwild. If you want to follow me there, I post Warriors content all day. Twitter has just become, I can't deal with that. I can't support the guy running it anymore.
Too much toxicity?
Sorry?
Too much toxicity?
Too much misinformation, propaganda. I just don't understand. Like, to me, the issue with Twitter, sorry to go on a side note, the moment Elon took over and took away the blue check marks, you can't trust anyone or anything anymore. Like, there's no way to verify identity. And between the fact that he has no moderator, so anyone can just say whatever the hell they want. Look, history has shown time and time and again the damage, the danger of propaganda, man. It's how Hitler rose to power. It's how a lot of people gain power, is just through spreading lies and repeating it over and over, man. People eat that shit up. So, sorry to swear. I don't know if that.
Don't worry, it's fine.
So I can't. So in good conscience, I just cannot stay on that platform anymore and support it. I'm not judging those who do, but the moment Threads started, I'm like, dude, that there's a spot for me. I'm out. So I'm on Threads now @dogwild. But what were you talking about again? I'm so sorry. I totally just spun off
the lineup that I throw at you. Like,
so Kuminga. The reason why I brought that up is because for 2 years. And it's in my bio right now. The adage, I've been saying this on Locked On Warriors from the moment I started hosting that show 2 years ago. Great things happen when Kuminga plays. The dude is legit. Steve Kerr has been treating him with kid gloves for a long time now. I'm trying to move ahead, but I still think back to that Lakers series, and all I can think of is, why the hell did you not play Kuminga? You needed size. You were getting killed in that series by a much bigger Lakers team, and Kuminga's just rotting away in the bench. That drove me insane. So I believe strongly in Kuminga. I love the fact that he got an opportunity this preseason, and he rewarded the team by being the leading scorer in the preseason so far. He's clearly taken a leap between year 2 and year 3. He's been working out all summer very extensively, very rigorously, and it's showing, man. He's definitely put on some weight in terms of muscle, but the guy he's grossly underrated in a lot of facets of his game. His shot, for example, a lot of people criticize that and say, well, I don't know if he has a good shot. Dude, first of all, there's a movie called Hoosiers out there. I don't know if you've seen it. It came out in the 70s. It's about a fictional.
No.
Yeah, it's a great basketball film. It's older. It came out in like the late 70s or maybe early 80s. Gene Hackman plays a basketball coach in Indiana, a high school basketball coach for this very small town. And again, Indiana, like, for some reason, they love their basketball there. So, and the movie, the best player on this high school team is this kid named Jimmy Chitwood, and his shot is identical in terms of shooting form to Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga has a beautiful shot, man. It doesn't look like most other players' shots.
Yep.
So I think because it's different, a lot of people discount it. It is beautiful. And look, he shot over 37% from beyond the arc last year. That's above the league average, way above the 𝕮𝕳𝕴𝕷𝕰𝕹𝕬 line. He was nearly a 53% field goal shooter as a whole. The dude can shoot. The dude last year drastically improved his defense, and now it's even better. He typically guards wing players. He's showing maturity in terms of being cognizant and self-aware of the fact that his rebounding numbers need to go up. He knows that. He worked on that all offseason. He actually said in an interview that Kenny Atkinson gets on him anytime he doesn't grab a rebound in practice, and he welcomes it. So in other words, anytime he blows a rebounding opportunity, the coaches will stop play, blow whistles, and call him out. And so he's put it on himself to do that. He just turned 21. This kid is mature. He didn't grow up in privilege. So, you know, I respect individuals like that who kind of have a little harder upbringing because they're not going to act spoiled in life, right? They're gonna appreciate all the little things. And so I love the kid. I love him, man. I think he's the future of the Warriors. He could be a superstar. And I actually interviewed just earlier today Hall of Famer George Karl, former head coach and NBA player. And, you know, I asked him what he thought about the notion that I think Kuminga could take on. He's not the same kind of player. They are two kind of different players. But in terms of the impact that he brings to the team, I think Kuminga could very easily be to this Warriors team what Kawhi Leonard was to the 2014 Spurs, right? Kawhi wasn't nearly the player that he is now then, but he was good enough. And the big three of the Spurs were aging just like the Warriors, still damn good, but you know, they were past their prime a little bit. But here comes Kawhi Leonard for them. Here comes Jonathan Kuminga for the Warriors. I see a striking similarity between those two situations. I think Kuminga is the real deal. And he's at a point in his game now where he's drawing fouls. He had 17 free throw attempts two preseason games ago. Be excited about him, man. I love the kid. I also love Moses Moody. I don't know why he only played 7 minutes the last game. But those two are the future of the Warriors, along with Brandon Pajemski, Trace Jackson Davis. The present and the future looks very bright, man. So to answer your question, sorry to be long-winded, I love Jonathan Kuminga, dude. I full-heartedly endorse him, whether it's starting, being a sixth man. He played a lot this preseason, largely because he was filling in for Draymond Green. So let's hope when Draymond comes back, Kuminga still gets 20-plus minutes a game. I hope Kerr puts that faith in him because I think the Warriors need him at this point. He brings that much value.
And he's like a fresh he's like a fresh air. You know, he's so athletic. He can finish at the rim. Now they are giving him more freedom to crash the boards, like offensive rebounds. And the other day I saw a stat where Moody and Kuminga, those two are one of the youngest players that have ever won a championship, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Next to THT from the Lakers, and I don't remember the other two players, but
Correct.
Kuminga has been flourishing, and he been averaging like 25 points for the Warriors. So hopefully that can continue in the regular season. This was a question that a couple of friends of mine, they were telling me some topics or giving me some questions, and it was about Bob Myers. You know, I wanted to ask you about the departure of these three parts of the Golden State Warriors, 2 players and 1 general manager. Obviously, Bob Myers and Jordan Poole and Wiseman. Can you give us some insight on these 3 departures? Maybe something that obviously you being close to the team, you know more, obviously a lot more about the Warriors, but can you give us some insight in these 3 departures? In one?
I could try. I mean, the Bob Myers thing, no one truly knows what the reason is. I'll say this about Bob Myers and the situation he was in. Joe Lacob, it might have been Joe Lacob. Joe Lacob is very hands-on. I don't know if you saw the press conference where Bob Myers announces that he was stepping down, but Joe Lacob was up there next to him. Joe Lacob was taking questions. No one asked Joe Lacob to sit up there next to Bob Myers. Like, that was supposed to be Bob Myers' moment, and Joe Lacob spoke for, I think, over half of it. So to the point is, Joe Lacob, I'm not saying this as a fact, but I'm saying as a suspicion that he might be a little much in terms of being a boss. And Joe Lacob was, and I'm not saying this as fact, I'm not like reporting this, but there's been a lot of speculation and I've heard this as well, that the James Wiseman pick was largely because of Joe Lacob. Like Wiseman was Joe Lacob's prodigy, his brainchild. I mean, James Wiseman, like a month before he got traded, when he was playing in Santa Cruz, like Joe Lacob went to the game and he brought like a whole entourage. And so there might be a correlation there in terms of, and I'm not, again, I think if you're a Warriors fan, you love Joe Lacob. Look, since he took over as owner, he turned the team into a dynasty, and he deserves all the credit. I really do believe that whether it's success or failure, it starts at the top. And so you have to commend him for this reign of success. But with that said, it's also very possible that in Bob Myers' situation, he just looked at we worked for the guy for 10 years. Maybe he saw himself in a position where there was just nowhere to go but down, given everything he's achieved. There was also a bit of a power struggle behind the scenes between him and Steve Kerr. Those two used to get along phenomenally. Maybe they still do. But last year, one of the big issues for this team, besides Jordan Poole, right? I mean, the Jordan Poole being punched by Draymond was huge. But behind the scenes, there was also a huge power struggle. It was, I was saying on the show, I was calling it a proxy war, meaning this was not like a battle that you were seeing up front. They weren't talking bad about each other, although Myers did once, and that's when we knew there was something very serious going on. But mostly this was a situation where behind the scenes, Steve Kerr had the players that he liked, and then Bob Myers had the players he liked, and they were not on the same page for the first time in 10 years. Like Steve Kerr was playing those two-way guys all season. That drove me insane, right? Like,
Anthony Lamb.
Oh, and Ty Jerome, I think was even worse. But they both were awful. And that was not Bob Myers' idea. Bob Myers, in his mind, was not thinking, play these guys 20 minutes a night. Bob Myers was very annoyed by that. And I think, besides the fans as well, Bob Myers also was kind of gave up on making a trade or making a free agent acquisition for a traditional center. A lot of people thought the Warriors last year were small, right? I mean, we saw a lot of small ball. I mean, again, Anthony Lamb was getting all these minutes at power forward. Dude's like 6'5", right? I mean, and that lack of size really showed in the Lakers series. Bob Myers was not averse to getting it big. Steve Kerr was. Steve Kerr was the one who made the decision to move on from James Wiseman. Steve Kerr, he just they were not on the same page. Bob Myers publicly criticized Steve Kerr. That's when everyone, at least myself, I started focusing on that heavily. That's when I think a lot of people were like, whoa, this might be the end for Bob, because someone asked him, like, why didn't you get a center? And he publicly said in a press conference, and the soundbite's out there, if anyone wants to look it up, he replied by saying, what's the point of getting a center if you have a coach who's ever going to play him? Like, it's just a waste of money. And that was that really, again, that was an eye opener for me. That raised my eyebrows. So that was going on as well. And so maybe Bob Myers just and on top of everything else, Bob Myers also has an incredibly luxurious life. He's married to a former Lakers cheerleader. He has 3 beautiful children, 2 or 3. Sorry, I can't remember which number that is. He's set. He's made enough money to last like 10 lifetimes. So in his head, he could have been thinking, why am I stressing over something when my legacy is set? I oversaw a dynasty. I have this beautiful wife, beautiful family. ESPN wants to hire me to do NBA Countdown instead of having Joe Lacob calling me 20 times a day, instead of Steve Kerr, resisting the moves that I want to make as a GM. I could just hang out with my family and talk basketball one day a week on the TV set. And maybe it was just as simple as that. Who knows? But I'm going to try to get Myers on the show soon. And I'm just trying to pick my time, because I really want to pick his brain. I really want to interview him and see if he'll reveal anything about his time with the Warriors and why he left. But I will give credit to Mike Dunleavy Jr., though. I mean, so far, again, it's very early. We haven't even seen the regular season yet. But so far, I feel like he scored with the draft picks. I mean, Brandon Pajemski is someone he's growing on me very fast. I love this kid. Trace Jackson Davis, I mean, I don't know if you watched you said you watched the Kings game. He held his own against Domantas Sabonis. I mean, he was like battling that dude and succeeding. I mean,
I didn't know he was a rookie.
He's a rookie, yeah. And so the fact that they got those two, the Dario Saric free agent signing was fantastic. This roster looks good. This is a night and day team from last year. They're deep. So I got to give Mike Dunleavy Jr. credit so far. I was very skeptical of him, but he's done a great job. And then the Jordan Poole thing, I mean, Rick Bucher reported this, and it's true that a lot of people made overtures in the Warriors organization. Steph, Clay, Draymond himself tried to make peace with Jordan Poole multiple occasions. You can't blame Jordan Poole for being upset. I mean, he got emasculated. He got socked, you know, and that got released. Who knows? We still don't know who released that, by the way. But I mean, that remains
that's the crazy part.
It is, and it could have been anyone, right? I mean, like it could have been someone in the NBA offices, because one thing a lot of people don't know, and this might be exclusive to your show because I haven't seen this reported anywhere, but those practice feeds that the NBA teams have in their practice facilities, those are all connected to the NBA offices in what is it? What is that city called? Sinakis, whatever it's called in New York, where their main offices are. Like all those feeds go there. This, in addition to the practice facilities themselves. So maybe someone over in New York leaked it. Who knows, man? TMZ maybe just said, "Hey, 50 grand, 100 grand," you know. So, but regardless, look, you can't blame Jordan Poole for being upset about that. But he held a grudge, and clearly they had to make a move. A lot of people right now are talking about that 41-point performance the other night that he had for the Wizards. Look, he's an offensive machine. I don't think anyone's doubting he's going to score points. He's still a traffic cone defensively, and there's a huge difference between putting up big numbers and winning, right? If those two go together, hell yeah, man, more power to you. But if you're putting up empty stats and your team's not winning, you know, so we'll see what happens with Jordan Poole there. But I don't blame him again for being upset. It just didn't work out, and you know, at least for a year, the Warriors have Chris Paul, who so far looks very good. And again, Brandon Podziemski, I am loving this kid, man. From initial impressions, there's a reason why you see it now, why he averaged 8.8 rebounds a game last year in college. That's a high number. And he also shot 43.8% from beyond the arc. So this is a kid who can shoot, who can play inside. He's not a liability in any regard. So I think the Warriors are okay in this department. I mean, Jordan Poole, thank you for helping the Warriors win a title. I think Dub Nation echoes those sentiments, but you know, they got to move on. So.
I like Podziemski. I like his footwork and the fact that he been averaging like 6 assists per game. That's crazy.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to take advantage of your time. I don't know if you got like a couple of minutes.
Yeah, a few more. Let's do it. Yeah, let's go.
How
about another until 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock your time? Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool,
okay.
Man. I really appreciate you being here. I'm here with Cyrus from Locked On Warriors. Go and check his platform. I think you'll reach like 10,000 subscribers, so that's great. Hopefully,
thanks,
you can have Bob Myers on your show, and I'll be there watching it with your co-host.
Thank you.
Which you do an amazing job, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
How many teams do you think that are head and shoulders above the Warriors in the West?
That's a good question. My answer is 0. I don't think anyone is head and shoulders above.
Not even Denver.
Well, this is where I talked with George Karl about this today, because George loves the Nuggets. He picked them last year to win the title. He was right. And him and I were both on the same page, man. Like the Nuggets, look, they could repeat. Nikola Jokic is the real deal. But there's 2 huge things going against the Nuggets this year. One is they lost 2 massively important pieces off the bench. And George Karl emphasized this point as well, which is like Bruce Brown was, I mean, he's a starter on any other team, and he's coming off the bench for the Nuggets. He was an invaluable piece, and you lose him, and then you lose Green, who's another very athletic veteran. Those are 2 key veterans that are just poof, gone. And you're replacing him with the 2 very young players, a second-year player in Christian Brown, and I'm guessing the rookie that they drafted, I forgot his name, who's making some waves. I'm sorry?
Julian Stroller?
I think, yeah, exactly. There you go. So
I'm a Denver Nuggets fan, by the way.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, so yeah, so please, yeah, add on anything you want, man, because I'm not an expert on the Nuggets. You probably know much more than I do. But so to me, the Nuggets have a thinner bench. That's 1, and 2, and this might be even a bigger thing. They don't have the same hunger that they had a year ago. And that is a very fundamentally important reason why it is so hard to repeat as a world champion, right? Like when you don't have that ring, man, you are giving it your all. You're putting everything out there. There is hunger. When you have a ring and you've been partying all summer and everyone's kissing your ass and telling you how amazing you are and you did it, you've accomplished the hardest thing in the world, that same hunger is not there to repeat, man. It is not. Psychologically, there is a complacency that sets in. Regardless of what the players will tell you, in reality, it's not the same. So they're going to have to rely a lot more to repeat on their talent, which they do have, but they have less of it than a year ago. And the Warriors now are hungry because they went through a crappy year. And I think Steph really wants that 5th title. Clay really wants to get that new contract. If the Warriors win a championship this year, even if Clay plays awful, he's getting $25 million a year. You're going to have to. Yep. If you win a title, you have to give him the money. So there's a motivation factor there. I'm not saying that the Warriors have better chance than the Nuggets. I'm not going that far, but I am saying that they are in the same league. And if it ends up being the Western Conference Finals, Warriors Nuggets, I think the Warriors have a shot this year, man. They're a much better team than they are last year. They still made the semis. I mean, it's not like they're an awful team last year, but the Lakers beat them, and that's that. What do you think? What do you think? Am I crazy for saying that? What do you think?
No. Today I was doing like the preview. I did the preview for the 30 teams, and today I was talking about the Denver Nuggets, and I was saying, to me, the biggest threat in the West for Denver, I think, is Golden State. Okay. People say, "Oh, Phoenix, Lakers," but maybe I'm not that high on the Lakers and Phoenix. And one thing that I've been saying for a long time, especially when I started my podcast, when the Golden State Warriors got the championship that year against Boston, I was saying, I don't know if you agree with this, I was saying that a lot of teams in the playoffs, they play basketball, they play like doing simple math, like doing division and like adding numbers, but very simple math. But
yes, they simplify things. Slow things down. Absolutely.
But what the Warriors do on offense, especially, is like an algebra. It's like it's like 2 times that. It's like a different type of mathematics.
Like they're doing calculus while everyone else is doing like algebra.
That was one of the things that I've been like saying, and obviously giving credit to the Golden State Warriors and the offense and the system that they run. A lot of player movement, a lot of ball movement, and when you got Curry, when you got Clay shooting 40% from the threes, like how are we gonna stop this team? And to me, I think Denver is close. Obviously not in terms of dynasty and everything, but I think the style of play that Denver displayed last year, I think, is close to what the Warriors have done for this couple of years. Obviously, Denver has only done it for 1 year, but I think that those 2 teams, I think they are very close offensively. Then defensively, we can talk about different things, but I don't think Phoenix has that type of level of basketball, neither the Lakers. But I don't know if you agree with it.
To me, the Lakers, I do fear the Lakers, but they have to be healthy, and that's a huge if.
Yeah.
I mean, LeBron is going to be 39 this year. I mean, I don't know. At some point, he's a human being. It's incredible that he's going this long. He's his age. Anthony Davis has to prove he's a durable player. And on paper, the Lakers look damn good. I mean, I give Rob Pelinka credit for the amount of free agents he added and all the moves he made. Even Jalen Hood-Schifino, the draft pick, I love that. But they're old and they might be slow. So the Lakers, to me, but the Suns, I count out. Like, to me, the Suns, like, I feared them until that DeAndre Ayton trade, and that's not to say that like I look up that high to DeAndre Ayton. Like, I don't think he's that elite. And in fact, like the more I'm seeing him in Portland now, the more I'm thinking, wow, this guy just might be squandering his career away. But the Suns did have a relatively solid center, and now they don't. Like Jokic is a traffic cone on defense. That dude does not play defense, man. I mean, he is one of the worst defensive players in the NBA. And you gave up DeAndre Ayton, who did give you easy buckets, who was a 7-footer with size, who helped lead your team 2 wins away from a world championship. And now, you traded him for what? Yes, I feel like they traded $1 for 4 quarters. They got back in return Jokic, Grayson Allen, who is known as one of the dirtiest players, which doesn't matter. But what does matter is Grayson Allen vanishes in the postseason. So Grayson Allen
we saw with the Bucks.
Yeah, he poof. Like, when the Bucks won the title, Grayson Allen was not a significant reason for that. So, and I forgot who the third player is, but I'm with you. The Suns are grossly overrated, man. Like we don't know how Bradley Beal is going to be. Like we don't even know if he's a winning player, man. I mean, he's never really won in his career. I think he led the Wizards to the playoffs a couple times, but as a really low
with
seed.
Russ and John Wall.
Yeah, exactly. And and then Devin Booker, I respect tremendously. Like that's the one guy on that team I have nothing but the utmost respect for. He does, I do fear him. But Kevin Durant is, who knows what we're going to get with him. But it looks like the Suns are going to rely on Durant to play like a lot of minutes as the big. And if that's the case, man, teams are going to punish him. They're going to attack him. And I just do not see the Suns as a legitimate contender. I do not understand what they were doing with that DeAndre Ayton trade. The Lakers, I fear a little bit again, just because of the depth. They do have championship experience. But I'm with you, man. Like, to me, in the Western Conference, the top three teams are the Nuggets, and in this order, the Nuggets, the Warriors, and then the Sacramento Kings. I'm not sleeping on them, man. That is
with that offense.
And they got better defensively. Like they added some good players. You're right, though, the offense especially. So it's those three, the Lakers, and then you got your next group. But I do still think your Nuggets are the favorites. Like I would say that. I wouldn't argue if you said that to me.
Yeah. To me, like I said, Denver. To me, I got them as the favorite to win the West again. Yep. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. It's not gonna be easy. Nope. And especially when we got Kelvin Booth, talking that big talk, saying that we are not focusing on getting the back-to-back. We're trying to get 3 championships in 6 years, 4 championships in 8 years. That sounded like when I don't know if it was the owner, Lacob, who said that the Warriors was light years ahead of everybody,
Yep.
That remind me of the same thing, but I trust in Denver. And one thing that you say that made a lot of sense is that when the Warriors repeated, that was the last team that did it. Obviously, Curry won before KD got there and won after KD left. But they got a nice team. They got KD, they got Curry, Clay, Iguodala, Draymond, Steve Kerr. You got a lot of great players, and now Denver has to rely on Jokic, which is not a top 75 player. We have to rely on Jamal Murray, who has never made an All-Star, and
that's crazy. Yeah.
And sometimes I think people don't give Denver. Maybe they never believe in Denver, so why I'm expecting them to give him credit now. But
the 75, the top 75 thing, I think it's safe to say he will be, right? Like Jokic will be in that group, just because he's not in it now. Jokic is going to get his due, man. He's an all-time great already. But that is crazy about Jamal Murray never making an All-Star team. I didn't think about that. That's wild. My concern with the Nuggets, like number one, would be Michael Porter Jr. You're like because you need him to be healthy again, and you need, of all the players who if you're going to worry about the hunger still being there for a repeat pursuit, like he is one of the biggest players I'd be worried about a little bit, because that dude can kind of drift mentally at times. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but. So
he hasn't played. He hasn't played in the preseason
because of injury. His back.
Oh, I think it's something with his foot. I don't think it's a lower leg injury, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, but so I think he's if he comes through and actually gets better this year, you guys have an excellent shot, man. I will say this: of all the teams I fear in the NBA for the Warriors, it's clearly the Nuggets are number one. A lot of people are talking about like the Celtics and Bucks, and rightfully so, man. They made some solid moves this offseason. But if you look at their rosters, neither team is deep. Like both teams are 7 deep at the most. Like look at the Celtics. Their bench is
Hauser.
Derek White. Derek White's good, but and then Pritchard, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
And none of those guys are that good. I mean, they're good, but and then the Bucks, I can't even think of one player off their bench. I guess
Crowder,
what's up?
Connaughton.
Yeah, Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, and I think that's it. I don't know who else there. I was looking at their rosters recently and was like thinking to myself, these are not deep teams. Like one injury and they're done. And in the playoffs, I mean, the Celtics especially, they've suffered from burnout numerous times, and the fact that they don't have depth, you're relying on Kristaps Porzingis to be healthy. That dude's always hurt. So to me, it's like it's Warriors. Nuggets. Sorry, your Nuggets should be first. Nuggets, Warriors, and again, I really respect the Kings. That's a damn good team. And then the Lakers are in there as well, I think. But I'm with you about the Suns. And people mention the Clippers. I don't know if they're a championship team. I don't know, man. They just don't scare
That's
me.
great.
But they might. I mean, who knows? But at present time, I don't have faith in them.
And the Warriors, Denver, those teams they have a lot of champions on their team. You know, the Warriors got Clay, Draymond, Curry, Gary Payton, Kuminga, Moody, Looney. They got a lot of champions on their team. The last question that I got for you, I'm sorry, man. In what ways it helped Golden State moving from Oakland to San Francisco, in your opinion?
I don't think it helped anything.
Oh, really? Wow.
No, I mean the fans for the most part weren't very happy about it. And I mean the new arena is really nice, but I don't know, man. To me, that's a question that's just it all depends on who you ask.
Yep.
But to me, it's like the ticket prices went up. It got a little more difficult to get to the arena because in Oakland you could take what's called BART, which is like the Bay Area's train system. And the train would just go right up to the arena. And with the new spot, you have to walk like 2 miles, which is not that big of a deal. But, and so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like the new arena, the downside to it is that it represents everything that's wrong with the Bay Area in terms of all the money, the lack of affordability, and, all the tech sector coming in and just pushing people out. It symbolizes that. So some people kind of like, cringe a tiny bit, but I'm nitpicking here, man. But I would say Oakland is missed, and the fact that the new WNBA team is going to be based in Oakland, I think, is indicative of that. Like, I think that the team recognizes that the folks in the East Bay were not very happy that they left. So, but look, Chase Center is beautiful, man. I don't mean to be negative. It's a nice one. Have you been here? Have you visited San Francisco?
No, man. I'm not being able to get to the U.S. I'm like I've been following the footsteps of Kyrie Irving. I haven't taken the elixir, but hopefully
that doesn't matter anymore, though. That stopped mattering like a year ago, right? I thought they
I don't think I can get to the US if I haven't taken the jab, but
I don't think that matters anymore, but
hopefully I can go there one day, man.
Okay, yeah, I hope so.
That would be. I mean, I've interviewed Kevin Dana. Do you know Kevin Dana?
Of course, yeah. He's a close friend of mine.
I've interviewed him before, man. That was amazing. And obviously it was a pleasure interviewing you, man. Today it was a pleasure, man.
Kevin Dana is a very close friend of mine. He's the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors. Yep. He's a good dude. We're grabbing dinner next week, actually. So I'll bring you up when I see you next.
And like you mentioned, it's like it's all about developing network, trying to get to know more people. And
Yes,
to
sir.
me, it's like different. I do my content in Spanish, but I know a little bit of English. So I can thanks to technology, I can reach out to you, and I can reach out to many other different professionals when it comes to talking about basketball and creating content about basketball. I've learned a lot from you. So I'll have you always on my watch list. So once again, thanks to Cyrus for being here, man. I don't want to take advantage of your time. We got almost 50 minutes with you. Hopefully everybody can enjoy it. It's gonna be with subtitles in case someone doesn't know English. It's gonna be with the subtitles. So thank you, man. I really, really appreciate you being here with us, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I hope to visit Chile sometime. My dream would be to drive down there. I know, like, it's almost impossible to drive through the Darien Gap in Colombia. So I guess you have to take like a boat to get from Panama to Ecuador. But my dream has always been to do like a crazy road trip with my dog, where I start from Alaska and then go all the way down to Chile. And I want to bring my surfboard because I've been a surfer most of my life, and your country has incredible waves, which I'm sure you know of. Like you said, the surf community there is strong. But I've heard such great things about your country, dude. It sounds like a beautiful place. Hope to visit someday. But in the meantime, thank you so much for having me, man. This was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure for me too. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this show. So this was it, the MOP podcast. I forget to mention it at the beginning. This is the MOP podcast. I was here with Cyrus from Locked On Warriors. Go and check and subscribe to that channel. They great, amazing content, especially if you are a Golden State Warriors fan. If not, like I do. I try to cover the NBA as a whole in my channel, even though I'm a Denver Nuggets fan, but I try to talk about every single team. So once again, thank you, man. Thank you to everybody. Go subscribe to this channel. Go like this video and leave a comment on the chat. So thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you, man.
Of course. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Until next time, this was it. This was the MOP podcast, man. Until next time, I'm out, man. Thanks to Cyrus once again. It was a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you.